Pitch Group 2, where we're going to be hearing from 7 SEC teams today, pitching their new innovations, new businesses, and new ideas. All of the judges were already introduced, but I'd just like to re-recognize them. We have Tara, April, Tom, and Lee here to provide feedback, questions, and advice on all of our student team new businesses. As Bob mentioned in the prior call, you're going to have 5 minutes to pitch, and you're going to have 5 minutes of Q&A after the pitch. At the end of the 5-minute pitch, or with 30 seconds left, you're going to see this sign appear, very high tech. And so what I would recommend for all of our participants is that you pin my video to your screen so that I'm always right next to you as you are pitching. I'd ask that all of our participants keep their cameras on, but their microphones muted throughout this process. Otherwise, someone who may not be pitching may pop up. After the third team presents, so after Kentucky presents, we are going to take a 10-minute break where you'll be able to do whatever you need to do, turn your cameras off, and take a moment. And then we'll come back for the final 4 pitches. At the end of this first preliminary round, a few things are going to happen. First, we're going to hear some advice and well wishes from prior participants in this SEC pitch competition. And then the judges are going to move into a preliminary deliberation room where they're going to talk through what they've heard so far. And then the teams are going to have about an hour and 15 minutes in order to refine their pitches before the afternoon pitch sessions. As a reminder, for all of my pitchers, you are coming back to this room at 1:15. For all of my judges, you are going to another room. And so make sure that everybody has their Zoom links from the emails that were sent out. Are there any questions? Okay, and as was explained to all of you, we're going to introduce your team. You're going to have a minute to share your screen, and then we're going to get the okay from all of the judges. And then we're going to go into the pitch. Judges, if you are familiar with Zoom, at the bottom of your screen, you should see a little reactions button. If you can just do the thumbs up between each pitch once you are ready to hear the next pitch. So if you have any information that you want to fill in or writing down, just give that little thumbs up when you're ready, and that will allow us to move on to the next team. If there are no questions, the first team up is Vanderbilt.
Awesome. Just get set up. Can everyone see my screen?
We can.
All right, whenever you guys are.
Vanderbilt, give me a minute here. Okay. Judges, if there's no questions, we are going to get started with Vanderbilt. Okay, Vanderbilt, your time is starting now.
Hello, my name is Patrick Musau, and I'm a 4th-year PhD student at Vanderbilt University at the Institute of Software Integrated Systems. I'm also a co-founder and director of research for Armed Cyber, and today we're excited to present our best-in-class application security leveraging solution, leveraging zero vulnerability technology. Within the context of our increasing virtual interactions, it has become clear that there are significant threats posed to our economic and national security if we do cybersecurity poorly. Right now, we are focusing on the vulnerabilities that arise because software is similar. Due to legacy code and a rapidly changing software landscape, there are on average 70 vulnerabilities per 1,000 lines of code at creation, and 15 of those make it into the product. The economies of scale are on the side of the attacker with an average response time of about 279 days. At large companies, downtime translates into significant costs, risking the financial health of the company. What would you do if you lost your entire company because of a cyber attack? So how do you defend against well-resourced, patient, and smart adversaries? The answer is an adaptive defense-in-depth approach utilizing intelligent software scrambling. ARM Cyber's zero vulnerability technology defends against nation-state attackers by shuffling the code at runtime at the application level. You can think of this as radio frequency hopping for software, or whack-a-mole, or even just moving the goalposts. So by constantly moving the code and also vulnerabilities around, hackers will not only be forced to invest vast amount of time, money, and resources, but in the rare instance that they can actually find a vulnerability on your system, it will not be able to propagate across similar applications on the network. So our zero vulnerability technology has three technical capabilities. The first is a static randomization of the software and an artificial intelligence-inspired vulnerability patching. This approach allows us to fix known vulnerabilities with a one-time randomization to protect against a stack. The second one is a runtime re-randomization, where we constantly do an automated randomization that occurs, one, if there is a predetermined risk factor for an attack, or because of a time-based trigger which randomizes the code at a predefined time. Right now, we can randomize about every 10 seconds. That means an attacker needs to identify a vulnerability, craft and deploy their exploit in 10 seconds before that piece of code moves somewhere else in the application. So lastly, we can apply this to technology to protect against ransomware attacks where an adversary seeks to take over your system. So how are we doing in comparison to our competitors? In randomization, not every machine instruction or what is known as a gadget can be moved. Those machine instructions that don't move are the key to how effective our randomization is. So our test compared most of the state-of-the-art technologies such as ASLR, polymorphic randomization, and something called binary stirring used by our most popular competitors. In this example, we do the math considering that an average exploit takes 5 machine instructions. The results show that if using our competitors' ASLR, there's an 85% chance of a successful attack. Polymorphic randomization is still offered with about a 65% success rate. Binary shuffling is better with a 31% success rate. But at ARM Cyber, only 2% of the instructions are not moved, which leads to the chance of a successful attack of 0.000016%. Let's make that very concrete. If you have 100,000 devices, that translates only into 1.6 of them being successfully hacked. So what's our vision? Our vision is this that changes the cybersecurity landscape by providing the DoD and corporations with a new ace when they're protecting against nation-state attacks. Our first product is an application security solution. The second is data security, and the last is a communication security. This tech is extremely sophisticated, but we've made significant efforts to package it into a user-friendly Docker container security for dev security ops. Instead of monitoring applications, we are proactively embedding adaptive and resilient security, mitigating the discovery of vulnerabilities, and protecting over 700 million containers in the US from our most sophisticated adversaries worldwide. Lastly, I'd like to introduce the rest of our team. We are a team of accomplished business entrepreneurs, technical innovators who have been on the physical and cyber front lines of America's continual global leadership position. Our cybersecurity solution was born out of years of PhD research by our technical co-founders and was funded by the AFRL and the intelligence community. Our CTO, Tim Pottinger, is currently a PhD student at Vanderbilt who has 5+ years at places such as NASA, the White House, and Cisco. Our strategic R&D officer and younger twin to Tim is Brad Pottinger. He's currently a senior exploitation researcher at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab. He's won 2 best papers from the NSA for his research in the US government. And finally, Michael Bryan is the CEO of ARMS and was recently the director for the Center of Entrepreneurship at Vanderbilt and was previously at Techstars, Amazon, and an officer of the US Marines. Thank you so much. I would love to field your questions.
Excellent. Well done, Vanderbilt. Setting the bar high on a Monday morning here. So what's going to happen now is we're going to turn it over to the judges for questions. I will be calling on the judges in a set order for each pitch. And so we're going to start with Tara, we're going to move to April, then we're going to go to Tom, and then Lee. In the next pitch, if we run out of time, we would start with whoever we left off with. Is everybody clear on that? And so Patrick, all you need to worry about is listening to the question instead of trying to find the judge that is asking the question. So Tara, do you have any questions?
Good morning, Patrick. Hi, Tara Wilson here. I think my biggest question that came out of that, I have 2, please, if you would clarify. Are you launching 3 products at one time? Is that what I understood by your second to last slide?
So I'd like to invite our CTO who's on the call with me, Tim Pottinger, to explain our product.
Hi, so we're starting off by launching a flagship product, which is the Docker security product. And then after getting enough revenue to support team members who are engineers, we plan to move into the communication and data space.
Okay. All right. And then my second question is, who is your target customer? I wasn't very clear on that. Is it the DoD?
So we have two main strategies right now. We have, and we're both targeting both right now. So the Docker security solution is mostly targeted at corporations. And we sought to do that because there's a large amount of developers who are willing to try out new solutions within that market. But also we're also targeting the DoD, and we've got a few SBIRs written and SDTRs written in that space, as well as we just came off participating in the Catalyst Accelerator, which is Space Force's accelerator.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Up next, April. April, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Patrick, nice job on your presentation. What is your revenue model?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, so our revenue model consists of two components. Our first component is contracts with DoD contractors, and the second part of our revenue model is a white labeling approach through platform as a service companies. And the main value that we add to platform as a service companies is to be able to give them a competitive edge. So if you think of companies that provide services over top of things like AWS and Google to make it more easily configurable, a lot of those types of companies like to embed cybersecurity just on top of what's already provided.
Have you done any pricing around this yet?
Yeah, so typically for white labeling, it typically looks like about a $1,000 a month support contract with a 50% revenue share model.
Because you're randomizing in production, not pre-deploy, or you, right?
It is pre-deploy.
Okay, gotcha. So it's pre-deploy. You're not randomizing while in production. Okay. Implementation approach. It sounds like a services, but just to clarify that for you, Tim, like what's your implementation? So
our implementation is in C and C++ executables. Basically, after they're compiled, we're able to do something called binary rewriting to shuffle around the functions. And then at that point, have the shuffled programs be put in a repository where they can be consumed by end customers.
Jim, I'll pass to the next judge, but if we have time at the end, I have more questions, but I also want to give everyone a chance.
Excellent. I appreciate it. Tom, you are up next.
Sounds like she's got the right questions too. I've just got a question about the competitive landscape that you're in. Who are your competition, and how hard is this to reverse engineer? Is it patented? What's the thing that prevents that from happening?
Yeah, so it is a patented technology. We filed about 2 patents so far. We have 2 main competitors. One is Polyverse. They just raised a pretty significant round of funding, but their primary focus is on servers and virtual machine protection. And we're trying to aim into the Docker security market. So I'd say RunSafe Security is probably the closest competitor, and they're trying to break into the DevSecOps market as well. And they're focused on DoD. They currently have a phase 2 contract, but they're not too much farther along than us.
Okay, Lee, if you have a very quick question, we can get to it. Otherwise, we're going to have to move on.
Yeah, why haven't others gone the same route that y'all are going? What is this something that's totally unique to your product? I mean, that you were talking about artificial intelligence and things of that nature. Why hadn't somebody else done this?
So the one thing is there's a high cost to entry for these kind of solutions. So the one thing is When you do randomize, you have to do verification to make sure that the randomization is correct. And that requires a lot of research effort that a lot of companies haven't done. But the other thing is that artificial intelligence methods are just far more scalable. However, they can only detect symptoms of an attack. So at a lot of companies where that don't have very large cybersecurity funding, what they do is they do monitoring. So at that point, you can shut down your production server when you know an attack is imminent.
Okay, we are out of time. Patrick, you are maybe saved by the bell. Maybe you really wanted to answer that question. So here's what's going to happen now. Patrick, if you can stop sharing your screen, Ole Miss is going to share their slides. We're going to give the judges a minute here to fill in their forms. And then judges, as I mentioned before, as you finish filling out your form, if you could just give me the thumbs up reaction symbol from the Zoom meeting so that I know that you guys are ready.
Hey everyone. Sorry, one second. Here, do it again. And then hit that, yeah. Is it on? Or
I'm not sure exactly.
Yep, we can see your screen, guys.
Yeah. All right, fantastic.
You are going to need to speak up a little bit. You're quite quiet.
All right. Sorry about that.
No problem. Just give the judges another 30 seconds here.
is the
All right.
are the slides displayed? Apologize. Oh, okay.
Okay, I believe all of our judges are ready. And if that is the case, Ole Miss, you can take it away.
Thanks for watching today, everyone. We're going to be talking about our startup Deus Notes.
So why Deus Notes? We've talked to some of our customers, and what they want is they want to connect with classmates. They feel lonely, and they want to help and be helped. What is Deus Notes? Deus Notes is striving to eliminate the barriers associated with connecting college students through our automatic grouping platform, where we're striving to become the hub for college life.
A little bit about us. My name is Nicholas.
And I'm Kyle Herbert. Before we go too much further, we want to talk about some of the validation and traction that we've had. We've interviewed 700 students through surveys. We've had 30 in-person interviews, and we launched a non-platform MVP where we gathered over 1,500 users.
So the problem is that college students aren't connected to their classmates as much as they'd like to be. 73% of students would like to connect with their classmates, and 83% of students we've surveyed find it difficult to connect with their classmates. There's a need for both an academic connection and a social connection in college. 93% of students think that their classmates can help them academically, and 78% of students want to talk to their classmates in and outside of class. Our solution, Deus Notes, is an academic social network, a digital hub for college students that groups students together based on their classes and organizations. The way it works is a student will register, they'll fill out some information about themselves, select their school, and select their classes that they have, and which pulls from our database, as well as they input their major and bio, which groups them together into the classes that they're in, allows them to chat with each other, talk about what's going on in the class, share study materials and files with each other, and also create events.
Our market size and opportunity, we're focused on college students within the US today. We're focused on a new niche market within the edtech industry that covers over 19.9 million college students. And our customers are going to be transactional and premium users, as well as local advertisers and data brokers. Our early adopters are going to consist of three main groups. The overachievers are the kids that have always done very well in school and kind of want the opportunity to show off and help others while staying connected with the class. The desperate is more on the opposite end of the spectrum. They don't always know what needs to be done, but they want to know what other students are doing that keeps them ahead. The lonely, on the other hand, are going to be freshmen or transfer students They're looking to their classmates for their first initial social connection.
So for market adoption, which we've adjusted for COVID, we're first going to have digital ambassadors who get onto the platform and tell all of their classmates about our platform. Then we're going to have direct email and text campaigns, targeted social media advertisements based on our demographics, physical flyers and signs around campus to raise awareness, and targeted expansion to first target smaller schools around larger ones to really build up market share.
Our business model utilizes both the freemium and transactional model. For transactional, we are taking just 10% commission from every transaction through our app and website. These transactions are going to be textbooks from students that have just left a class, selling their textbooks to kids who are just coming in, as well as helping tutors connect with potential clients. We're also going to be receiving revenue from premium subscriptions, where they can unlock a new fleet of features on the app, as well as third-party businesses such as data brokers or local advertisers.
So our unique value proposition is student connection, both the academic benefits that come with that and the social benefits that come with that, and then automatic grouping. Unlike simple group messaging platforms, we automatically connect students to their classes after they just input their classes. And we're right now available on iOS, and we're soon going to be available on all mobile and web platforms.
Deus Notes consolidates many different features from applications that students need. Our initial competitors are going to be in the simple messaging platforms and study resources. We've also thrown course management platforms up here because it simulates how we gather students' classes and automatically group them. In the future, we're going to be dealing with traditional social media as well as textbook resellers.
So our unfair advantages, we're going to utilize we're creating a niche social network. We're also domain experts. We're student founders. We know what students want. We're going to utilize direct network effects to prevent competition from coming in and taking us over. In summary, we're connecting students together to augment the college experience, both the academic and social side of that. We're creating unique user identity as part of our digital community. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to your questions.
We look forward to your feedback. Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent. Nice work, Ole Miss. So judges, we're going to go in the reverse order now. So we're going to start with Lee, and we're going to work backwards toward Tara. So Lee, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I did get confused at one point where the textbooks, the revenue coming off textbooks. Could you expand on that a little bit? Because I was thinking of the network, the social media, and not, the sales, the revenue generated from textbooks.
Yeah, absolutely. So every student that we've talked to has old textbooks that they've saved from previous classes because they didn't know what to do with them. So we're trying to offer a method for them to resell them to future students in that classroom. So, I mean, I still have my Accounting 201 book, but but I've sold plenty of other textbooks to friends that have joined some of the classes that I've already taken.
So kind of to go off of that. So right now we have an MVP, which isn't monetized yet, but we just wanted to kind of present you with options. We have a few different, basically premium paid features that we'd like to offer into the future.
Okay, so it's like a byproduct of
Exactly.
of your process. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Tom. Tom Reed, do you have any questions?
Just if you would go a little further into how you're planning on getting mind share. There's so many social media apps that are taking up people's time and attention, and I get that you've got unique positioning, but how are you going to get people's eyes on you?
So what we've seen is that people will in classes go to great lengths to basically form some sort of group chat with their classmates. They'll go as far as literally manually adding all of their classmates in these 50 plus classes to group chats, whether it's on GroupMe or WhatsApp. And so we basically saw that happening and thought, there has to be a much easier way than this. And so the main thing that we're doing, the real pain point, is that automatic connection. We have all of the classes at Ole Miss, and we're going to, as we expand, we'll have a database of other classes at other universities as well. And so what we're going to do is basically allow for students just to quickly select their 5 or so classes when they register, and they'll automatically be connected. So that's the major reason.
Yeah,
the biggest value.
In my opinion, first and foremost, people are going to be logging on to this for the academic help, but they're going to stay for the social connection.
Okay, April, any questions? April, you are on mute.
My fault. Thank you. So that was a big one for me. Like, which feature is your hook feature? Because you're obviously it's the critical mass play of getting folks to engage. I think you're saying it's the social side of it. So can you talk more about that? Like, why do I socially want to be on your app as opposed to, I don't even know what the kids are doing nowadays. I'm not a cool kid in college. But.
So that's a great question. Why, do they want to be on socially? So right now we, our MVP that we have out, it has basically the connection, which then allows you to chat with your classmates, share files and create events. And so we're basically starting the process of being more social. Basically, not really right now because of COVID, but in the events, we're basically encouraging students to basically connect outside of class. What we've seen a lot in our MVP and other research, and literally just sometimes in our classes, some people will do things like they'll send an email out to the entire class, basically saying, hey, who wants to go out to a bar tonight, which might sound almost silly, but basically there is this need we've seen that people want to kind of connect and do fun things with their classmates. So the events is the start of that. We have a few other ideas in mind for that as well, though.
Go ahead. Jim, I'll
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
And Tara, any questions?
Yeah, guys, can you go back to your revenue slide? I'd just like to understand a bit more about your path to revenue.
Yeah. So I think I did want to say first, that is we basically just wanted to show you the potential. And so that, giant number is assuming 100% of the market share, which is obviously, we're not saying that we're going to hit that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. So we're just taking 10% commission from each transaction, which I believe all students need textbooks, and many students want to give away their textbooks. They just don't want them because they have no more need for them.
So we see this basically as a potential way to monetize the infrastructure that we've created. So we're connecting all of the students into their classes. And so an easy next step following to monetize it would be to allow students to quickly and easily sell their textbooks, make that as convenient as possible.
All right, and that is your time. Good work, Ole Miss. Up next, we're going to have Kentucky. So if Ole Miss, you can stop sharing your slides as Kentucky gets their slides up. Judges, please take your final notes here. No rush. And then we'll wait for the judges to acknowledge that they are ready to start. Tom's getting a little creative with his emojis.
How you guys doing this morning?
Excellent. As a reminder for everyone, after Kentucky pitches, we are going to pause for a 10-minute break, and then we will come back. I will give you the time that we're going to come back at the end of this pitch. Tara, are you ready to go? No rush.
I need just one more minute, please. There you go.
Okay. Kentucky, it looks like you are ready to go, so the floor is all yours.
In my free time, I listen and watch a lot of podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to is I Am Athlete. And as I was watching I Am Athlete, I went and read the comments because I like to read the comments to see what potential users of Acumen are saying. And one of the first comments I saw was a user saying, I would love to purchase this content. I would love to be in the audience and actually be able to view this. You know, those type of statements reiterate everything that we're trying to do here with at Acumen. Are my slides changing?
No.
Oh, wow. My name is Cameron Brown. I'm the president of Acumen Media, and those are my co-founders. So the problem overall that outlets are struggling to meet sports fans where they are. Fans just want to engage more than they have been traditionally with their content, not just in sports, but all over in every major media landscape. Think about yourself. When I'm going to view sports content, I'm going to Instagram, I'm going to Twitter, these different outlets that allow me to interact with my friends. The problem is that these outlets don't have reliable content, and it's a lot of fluff content as well. And for avid sports fans, you don't like that. Athletes also want more control over their brand than ever before. You see a lot of athletes now creating their own media companies or just going the route of pushing the content themselves and being able to directly monetize it. Here's Fred Taylor talking
There's so
about
many
that.
different avenues to show the game and market the game. You got Twitter, you got Instagram, you got the different streaming services and platforms. So naturally, they should make more money, right?
So what we're doing about this problem, sorry, I cut the video short, cut a few seconds earlier, but what we're doing about this problem is we're creating a multi-channel interactive platform that allows these athletes and influencers to have more control over their brand and also allows them to directly monetize their brand from our platform. So I'll show you and give you a little walkthrough based off the screenshots from our prototype that we use for pitching purposes. So again, here you can see you'll log on, and then you'll be able to interact by using comments. You'll be able to message with their friends. That's a very general social media feel. But our value proposition and what we're going to do to keep users on it, we are allowing these users to purchase exclusive content directly from the athlete. And what that'll look like, let's say Tom, Tara, April, Lee, you guys want to use Acumen. When you're using Acumen, what you're going to do is you're going to log on. You're going to say, okay, there's cool content here. You know, a lot of cool stuff for me to do. But now you have the ability to, let's say Tyler Hero, for example, is a UK guy, someone we're working with. Let's say Tyler Hero wants to give you insight on what's going on in the bubble. You'll be able to purchase content directly from Tyler Hero. So you'll be able to do one-on-one, purchase a video directly. You'll be able to subscribe to Tyler Hero and receive all of his exclusive content, or you can subscribe to Acumen and receive all the content that we have from every athlete exclusively. So here's our financial model. I'm sure I'll have questions, so I'll touch on this at the end. I don't think I have enough time to touch on it now. And why us? So we are the fans, obviously, who want to interact and receive content from these athletes directly. If you look to the left here, this is a real list of athletes that we are either have relationships with or that we are currently working with and that have agreed to join our platform. We also have relationships with Beyond AM Agency, Rock Nation Sports, Excel Sports, from our team and from some of the work we've done in the past. I'm sure I have questions, so I'll answer that towards the end as well. Our competition. So our main competitors are Players TV, The Athletic, YouTube, and ESPN is an indirect competitor as well. So the difference between us and some of our competitors is we're allowing these athletes to monetize one-to-one in our interactive platform. There's no sports platform. There's no sports specific platform for the avid sports fan. So there's not a platform out there that allows sports fans to directly interact and engage with each other while also receiving content. And the fact that we're giving these athletes the ability to directly monetize on our platform also gives us a leg up from our competitors. Fundraising and milestones. So currently we're going through 2 accelerators. The first accelerator is No Cap IO Accelerator. It's Capital for Equity. We currently just got accepted to G Beta, another accelerator that's a nationally-wide accelerator. We have a partnership with Bram Weinstein from ESPN. We have a key partnership with Vernon Maxwell, former Houston Rockets player, NBA legend. We're looking to raise $500,000 total, and you can contact me here at the bottom if you have any questions or inquiries. Lastly, I want to leave you with this. Build the connection. Our goal is to build real relationships in sports with athletes.
All right, that is your time. That's great recovery from your technical challenges at the beginning. Everybody take notes. That's how you recover. We're going to turn it over to our judges now. And we are going to start this round with Tara.
Hi, Cameron. Thank you for that. Okay, so lots of questions. This is close to my heart here. So how do you differ? Uninterrupted, the Players Tribune, I realize those are not as any of your competitors there. So let's talk a little bit about your revenue model. Go back to your revenue slide if you wouldn't mind. And let's talk about the revenue share between your players and you guys, and how I, as an avid sports fan, subscribe to your app and what I'm going to pay to get that content.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So when you log onto the platform, it's free. So you'll have it's a freemium model. We're going to allow you to interact and receive content directly from Acumen. We are creating content as well. I didn't get to touch on that, but we currently actually have already started doing that. Once you log on, you'll say, hey, whoever your favorite athlete is, you'll see that he or she's posted insight on their life, and you can either, let's say, pay $1. We're giving the athlete free range on what they want to charge the users to view their specific content. So you'll be able to say, if the athlete wants to charge you $1, you'll either pay $1 directly for that video, or you'll have to subscribe to the athlete and receive all of this exclusive content. So you mentioned revenue share. Yes, we're going to do a revenue share, and we're doing 90-10 with the athlete. We got advice from basically a mentor of ours that the bigger athletes are going to want to negotiate that no matter what. So we might as well make it around 90-10. And then platform revenue split is going to be 30-70, 30 athletes, 70 to us. And that's how we came to this numbers. The range that we're looking at charging right now is anywhere between $7.99 and $15. We start making revenue $7.99 at year one, but we may start a little lower with that price.
Is that monthly? $7.99 to $15 monthly, or is that annualized?
Monthly subscription. So if you subscribe to us, it'd be monthly. Subscribe to the athlete, it would be obviously at their discretion. And if you don't subscribe, you can make in-app purchases one-on-one. So.
And am I required to subscribe to you first before I can subscribe to the athlete?
Nope, you're not.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Next up, we have April.
Very cool. I'm an avid sports fan as well, so this makes sense. Question though, how do you view the balance between, because you list out your competitors, but you didn't list out the thousands of brands out there that pay athletes for sponsorships and whatnot. How do you view that as a potential competitive threat? Because if I'm not on Instagram, if I'm John Morant, Body Armor's not paying me whatever millions to post all that stuff.
Yeah. So we actually plan on adding a brand marketplace at the end. Wish I could have touched on it. But because we already are creating an interactive platform in sports where these athletes can monetize, we said, why don't we create a portal where brands can also reach these list of athletes that we have? So April, a good example, let's say you're the local quarterback and I am a mom and dad pizza shop. I would be able to reach out to you on Acumen specifically and say, hey, I want to give you $500 to wear a shirt in a video you post on Acumen, or I want to give you $5,000 just to be a sponsor of my brand overall. When you're talking about brands and sponsorships, it puts in mind the fact that amateur athletes is going to be big for what we're trying to do. The fact that amateur athletes can monetize their brand overall. So we think that we'll actually have a really organic relationship, and we're actually building organic relationships with brands that are already out there to kind of use our platform. We see us as the best way to reach an audience. So when we're talking about competitors, we probably have a little bit more than what I listed. But we think that if you use our platform, that you will be able to reach your audience a little better than you're able to reach them on those other platforms, because we're sports focused and we're getting your niche market, which is the avid sports fan, right to you. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
Tom, if you have a very quick question.
Just real quickly, the uses of funds that you're asking for, and how are you planning on getting in front of your potential customers?
Yeah, so because we already have relationships with athletes that we're working with, because we already have these relationships, the athletes are going to market for us on their socials. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow the athletes to post small teasers on their social. We realistically know that we will not be able, if you have 100,000 followers, we won't get 50%. But there are going to be 1,000 people on your page that is an avid sports fan that will want to come view the content specifically. So we're going to capitalize on the fact that we have influencer relationships.
All right, thank you, Kentucky. That is our question period for our third team. As I mentioned, we are now going to take a 10-minute break. And so we will see everybody back here at 10:32. What I would recommend is that everybody just blacken out their camera and mute their microphone, but you can stay on the call. Judges, you can take this time to collect your thoughts for those first three pitches, and I will see everyone back here at 10:32. welcome back to our first preliminary round. We are on to our second 4 teams here in this morning session. As a reminder to everyone, at the end of this 4-team pitch session, we're going to hear from some prior participants in the SEC pitch competition, and then all the teams are going to have about an hour and 15 minutes or so in order to revise their pitches based on the feedback that they received from the judges this morning before coming back into this room for the afternoon session. As a reminder, our judges are going to be leaving us and we're going to get a new set of judges. These judges are going to go into the other pitch room. And so it looks like we've got most of our teams and judges back at this point. And so I'm going to welcome to the stage Missouri. Missouri, if you want to start sharing your slides.
How's my audio?
You are good.
And you can see PowerPoint?
No, right now you are sharing your Gmail.
Oh, wrong thing. There we go. There it is. Okay.
Okay.
Now you can see my PowerPoint?
We can see your PowerPoint. Let me just do a quick judge check. It looks like we have all of our judges here and ready. So as soon as you start talking, I will start my timer.
And let's go. Pollinate. This is an operating system for global e-commerce delivery. So B2C shipping for emerging economies is very hard and very expensive. For example, in Kenya, packages, if you ordered a package, 60% of the time that package is going to be late, and 20% of the time it's going to be lost or stolen. So it's never going to even show up. And if you are in these emerging markets, last mile delivery costs are 3 times as much as, say, the United States or other developed economies. And that leads to the fact that 60% of Kenyans have access to internet and are avid internet users, yet 0.5% actually shop for e-commerce. The disconnect is pretty clear. And this all leads to the fact that customers won't order e-commerce because logistics is so hard. This is what the current system looks like if you place an order for a package. It goes from the e-commerce warehouse to a delivery company number 1 to a delivery company number 2. This is what we call the first and middle mile. In emerging economies, you have lots of subcontracting. So parties keep on subcontracting to other parties. You have a lot of inefficient routing and incomplete loads and no unified tracking system. This leads to your packages pretty much just getting lost in the entire flow. And if we get to look to the last mile, this is when the package goes from the last warehouse to your door. This is 50% of delivery cost. In emerging markets, it requires local knowledge because there's no formal addressing system, meaning that everything's landmark based. Like I'm across from a deli 2 blocks down. And this requires delivery drivers that are from the area to do deliveries. It also has 12-hour delivery windows, meaning that if you want a package, you basically have to stay home from work the entire day to get that package. So our solution is basically creating delivery Legos. This allows us to interconnect multiple different delivery providers of different types, such as a bicycle, rickshaw, or boats, connect them together, allowing us to reach even the world's most remote places, be pretty robust, and maximize speed while minimizing cost. We do that by bringing all these providers that currently exist onto one unified platform. And on this one unified platform, we have a unified tracking system, which is a single source of truth, meaning that everyone in the chain of custody of this package, from the sender to the recipient, knows exactly where that package is at any point in time. And by making it super simple for anyone to onboard onto our platform, including businesses of small to large e-commerce size. Now, this is what the flow looks like in the Pollinate setup. The package goes from the e-commerce warehouse to maybe a street stall. Again, we're leveraging different providers in the delivery flow. Street stalls are found in almost every corner of emerging markets, usually a few minutes walk just from everyone's house. So in the first and middle mile, the delivery drivers and delivery companies all work under one Pollinate platform. And in this flow, we're uniquely able to eliminate the last mile. If the package is delivered to a street stall just around the corner, we don't need local delivery knowledge of the entire area. They just need to know where the street stall is. And then we just alert the consumer that their package is ready at the street stall. They walk over and pick it up. This leads to basically 0% last mile cost, and we can reduce that 12-hour delivery window to basically nothing. In terms of competitors, we're pretty uniquely positioned to specifically focus on B2C delivery, and we have a very dynamic fleet versus a homogeneous fleet like UPS and FedEx. So we're pretty uniquely positioned to attack certain parts of emerging economies. In terms of our customer, we focus on medium to large e-commerce companies like Jumia or Mall for Africa. For them, we provide faster and cheaper trackable deliveries, and in turn, to get more customers and volume. In terms of the market opportunity, third-party logistics, which is basically most to all delivery, the category everything falls under, is about $950 billion in 2018. Now, if we look at Kenya, with an assumption that Pollinate will take 25% of the market, that's $750 million annually that Pollinate will dominate. In terms of team, our team is pretty experienced. I am the CEO and founder. I was formerly the chief of engineering at OnfoCoin, grew to 80,000 users in pretty much every country in the world. Also global world record hackathonner. Becky is our COO. He's based out of Kenya. He's got 18 years of sales all across Africa in telecoms and SaaS for SAP. So he knows the entire African landscape. Jeff is an incredible UI UX designer that used to intern at Salesforce. And Joseph is a Harvard grad, ex-Googler, who now runs his own e-commerce platform. So he really has lots of insights that are needed for this. In terms of business model, we take 15% of all transactions that happen on our platform, plus we can gather and sell consumer spending data. In terms of milestones, we placed second at the world's second biggest hackathon. We have interest from Eric Schmidt's Tomorrow VC. Jumia is super keen to partner with us. We have 300 delivery drivers already onboarded, and we have a delivery giant that's already interested, but that but I can't say the name of. And we also got a retweet by Y Combinator's Paul Graham.
That is your time. So we're going to turn it over to the judges now, and we're going to start with Lee. Lee, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. So define who are you selling to?
Drew, you are on mute.
Yeah, so we have multiple, it's a platform, right? So we have multiple different parties and different type of users on the platform. So we have our key customer that makes the entire system work is the e-commerce companies like Jumia, like Mall for Africa, like Souk, which is an Amazon company, because they need delivery. But we also have to interconnect delivery companies that already exist into our platform because they have to provide delivery. So we actually have a few customers that we have to provide for and listen to.
Thank you.
Okay, Tara, any questions?
You talk about your market share as 950 billion. Can you talk a bit about, and if you already have 300 drivers on board, can you give me like a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year projection of what you're thinking?
Yeah. So I have a slide for that too. So this is what we looked at for just that area of the world. So we started in Nairobi, Kenya. So the 300 drivers are based out of Nairobi in a district called Westlands. So we're planning to do this is gonna be shifted a bit because of COVID, but we were thinking in 1 quarter, we start with 250 delivery drivers just doing direct from the warehouse to the end user shipping. So without street stalls, and then we incorporate street stalls and expand through multiple quarters from that, from Nairobi out to outward cities, out to other districts and to countries nearby Nairobi. But yeah, this is what our 2 year roadmap looks like.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate seeing that.
Okay, up next we have April. April, any questions?
Yeah, so you seem to be targeting third world countries-ish, less developed.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accounted for in your TAM?
Yeah. So let's go back to TAM. Here's a TAM slide. Yeah, so this is global third-party logistics. And I think Asham's a better look at it because the African third-party logistics market is probably the one that we probably focus on the most because other markets like India are already pretty like saturated with people, providers like us, but the African market is pretty unsaturated currently.
Gotcha. Okay. And what makes you different from other boots on the ground?
Yeah. So among our competitors, a lot of our competitors are focusing on being asset heavy. Sendy, for example, raised $60 million from Toyota. and they spend it all on trucks, right? So they're not leveraging existing providers. They're trying to create their own providers and try to dominate the entire flow. We're trying to create something more nimble where we can incorporate existing providers and provide them technology to make them all uniform and work together.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Okay, and Tom, do you have any questions?
What are the barriers to entry? What prevents someone from, like Amazon, from just doing this themselves?
Yeah, so someone like Amazon, it seems very Bezos-y to come in and just dominate the market and do this, right? But Amazon's really spreading themselves too thin. At African market, the logistics are very complex. Again, you need providers that sort of understand the area they're working in. So for Amazon, it's super hard to spread themselves that thin when their main goal is just to sell packages, and they'd rather just plug into a delivery company. That's why they acquired Stoop, right? They could have went into Egypt and built their own delivery e-commerce, but it was easier just to acquire someone. It's just super difficult. Like you have to, a lot of regulations that we're experiencing that we have to go through. Getting the drivers is super hard, and getting them on board is super hard, and the management of them is quite difficult. So you have a lot of unprofessionalism actually. When we surveyed our end customers, there's a lot of unprofessionalism, like the drivers wouldn't represent the brand of the company well. So managing all these things is too much for Amazon, but they'd rather outsource it to someone else or just acquire someone else.
Okay, Missouri, thank you very much. Nice work. Next up, we have Texas A&M. So if Texas A&M can share their slides, we'll give the judges a few minutes to take notes.
One quick second, my laptop camera doesn't work, so we're using the iPad camera and the laptop to share. So. Can y'all see my screen?
We can.
Okay, can y'all see me on this camera?
We can.
Perfect, thank you all so much. Let me share it, and then I am ready whenever the judges are.
Okay. Judges, just as a reminder, when you are ready, give us your thumbs up. Okay, it looks like all of our judges are ready. And so with that, Texas A&M, take it away.
Man's best friend, a term used for the lovable, playful fur babies that have impacted our lives so dearly. Unfortunately, sometimes our pets can get sick or hurt, which can put them in a dire situation. I've experienced this personally. Meet my best friend, Atasi. This past summer, I walked out to my backyard to see that Atasi had collapsed. I thought she was dead. Howdy, my name is Stephanie Young, and I'm a senior animal science major at Texas A&M University. I am also the CEO and founder of SkyPaws. We are revolutionizing a way to save more pets' lives through an advanced in-hospital vitals monitoring system. The SkyPaws device is an all-in-one patent-pending system that measures heart rate, ECG, temperature, and oxygen saturation. In the future, we plan to integrate our own algorithms for respiratory rate. When your pet goes to the hospital, they are only able to be hooked up to vitals monitoring equipment when they're asleep or under anesthesia. When they're awake, those sensors and wires quickly become glorified chew toys. Because of this, after a procedure, your pet is left alone in a kennel with no equipment on them to be checked on every 5 or 10 minutes. This can have some serious consequences for your pet's health, as well as be a huge liability for the veterinarian. If your pet were to stop breathing from that 5 to 10 minute window, the staff wouldn't be notified. And your pet could pass away. When compared to human medicine, this standard of veterinary practice sounds preposterous. When humans go in for a procedure, they are hooked up to the equipment from the moment they're triaged and the time they leave. Don't our pets deserve this quality of care too? Here's how the SkyPause device works. Our small 2.5-inch disc is placed and secured onto the patient's chest. All of the data is then collected and streamed via Wi-Fi to any display in the hospital. If your pet's vitals were to go outside of a threshold that was previously set by the veterinarian, it would set off an alarm, letting the staff know that your pet needs help. This also greatly de-risks the liability for the veterinarian. At the end of the vitals monitoring session, all of that data is then collected and exported into patient records. SkyPause has 2 major competitors, neither of which are on the market yet. Both VetMeasure and DyneBeat measure the exact same vitals we do, but they use a harness as their applicator. This necessary vitals information is only applicable to pets that fit in their predetermined sizes. The SkyPause device is small and versatile and can fit on any species, shape, or size of mammal. Our second competitive advantage is that all of our software is already calibrated to human medical grade standards. Therefore, when the veterinary industry, which is highly unregulated, becomes regulated, we will be prepared for that shift. Our total addressable market is the 32,000 veterinary hospitals in the United States. We plan to be first to enter the market and capture 10% by the end of our first year, bringing in $13 million in revenue. By year 3, we plan to capture 55% of the market, bringing in $73 million in revenue. And by year 5, we plan to capture 75% of the market and bring in $100 million in revenue. We plan to generate our revenue through 2 different streams. The first one is the one-time device and charger sales. The second is the recurring consumable sales, as well as our software subscription sales. In the future, we plan to add a 3rd revenue stream where we aggregate all of the data we've collected and sell it. Meet the team behind SkyPause. My name is Stephanie. I'm the CEO. Brianna is the veterinarian on our team. We've partnered with JSL Innovations to develop and manufacture our devices, and we've already had conversations about what scalability will look like. In the future, we will be contracting with Galen Data, and they will be managing our cloud-based systems. Now back to Atasi. My first instinct was to put the latest prototype of the SkyPause device on her. She was suffering from a heat stroke. The vet told me that if I hadn't used the SkyPause device and acted as quickly as I did, Atasi wouldn't have survived. SkyPause saved my own pet. Right now, we are in a race to be first to launch in May 2021. Today, I'm asking for $10,000 to help forward a partnership we have with Texas A&M's vet school to begin testing. SkyPause has already saved 1 life. Give me the opportunity to save your pet too. Join me. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So first up on the judging panel, we have questions from Tara.
Oh, great. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for that. I'm also a pet lover, 2 labs. So you mentioned that you have 2 competitors who are not on the market yet, but the competitive advantage is that your product has a different harness. Are there any technology competitive advantages as well for your product, or just the harness?
So our application doesn't use a harness at all. We have our own proprietary tape that is used to adhere it to the patient that is very gentle on the pet, but keeps it very secure, which means it can fit on a species, shape, or size of mammal. Mm-hmm. Our second competitive advantage within that category is that theirs is mainly applicable to dogs because of the predetermined sizes. Ours can fit on any mammal at this point. And then our technology advantage also includes that we are already regulated to human medical grade standards. So think your HIPAA and your encryption type standards that are not yet enforced in the veterinary industry. But the trend is going towards the regulation aspect in the veterinary industry. And I would rather be prepared now as we are growing and starting than wait until the ball drops.
So how do you know that your competitor isn't already working toward those same standards?
Based on what they have provided on their websites, as well as information that I've received from them, they are staying as I guess bootstrapped as possible and not taking that into account within the veterinary industry. Just because we are about 20 years behind the human industry, and it is presumed that there is more time.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that.
Okay, next up, questions from April.
Hey, nice presentation, Stephanie. Can you go to the revenue slide real quick?
Yes.
One more forward. So those are the ways. Yeah. What's your thoughts around how to penetrate this market? I get the one time and the recurring, but on the next slide, you're trying to talk about your market. What are your thoughts around penetrating your sales channels?
Absolutely. So the first way that we're penetrating is that we've already made a number of connections with veterinarians that we've interviewed and done just normal consumer interviews with at big functions like VIS or VMX or AVMA, bigger conventions that devices that are veterinary specific get sold. We plan to get our early adopters through there. And then once we get our early adopters, iterate, find out what's great and what's not, we plan to break into the research facility that tests on animals. So for instance, Texas A&M tests on dogs that have muscular dystrophy. They aren't being monitored other than being checked on by student workers. And so if we break into this research industry and they start writing papers and saying that we have proof, then the mainstream adopters will be more likely to adopt it. Does that answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next up we have Tom. Tom, do you have any questions?
Just curious, do you have a patent on your attachment methodology? What prevents your competitors from ripping that off?
So yes, right now we have a patent that is filed for our like design and functionality of the device and the method at which we adhere it. We have received an office action, but because of COVID, we're still waiting on the next one. But hopefully by December, we will have a fully issued patent.
And Lee, do you have any questions?
First of all, great presentation. So you have created these devices already. What are the odds of like A&M, y'all have a great vet school, what are the odds of them, testing these products?
The odds of A&M testing these products are very high. We already have a relationship with Dr. Sonia G. Gordon, who is the head cardiologist at Texas A&M's vet school, and in your bottom left on your screen, bottom left or bottom right. She has agreed to test, and we've already talked with the new interim dean that is going to be supervising it. So all we need is the money to go forward. Everything is already set in place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great work, Texas A&M.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Georgia. So if Georgia can share their screen, we'll let the judges take some final notes on SkyPaws. Stephanie, if you can just go on mute.
Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm experiencing some difficulties getting it to share correctly.
Larry, it was sharing just a minute ago.
There you go. Sorry, yeah, okay.
My judges can just give me a thumbs up when they are ready. Okay, Tom, are you ready? Okay, excellent. With that, we're going to turn it over to Georgia.
All right. Hello, my name is Valeria Brenner and my company is Thrift Ship. I got this idea because I own a successful small business selling thrifted clothing on Instagram. And for those of you that don't know, Instagram may not seem like an e-commerce platform, but because of its size and wide reach, small businesses have revolutionized the app by turning it into an online storefront. This is Hannah, and she is one of these small business owners. She sells secondhand clothing that she finds at local thrift stores on her Instagram account at Sunbum Thrifts. But Hannah has one big problem. shipping. With about 12 sales a week, it takes her over 2 hours to make shipping labels and package her item. And since Instagram isn't officially a selling platform, Hannah has to conduct all of her customer interactions and purchases through her direct messages. So when it's time for shipping, she has to manually retype every address into shipping websites, line by line. She told me that she built her own website last month and that she uses it for the sole purpose of sending her customers on Instagram a checkout link so that she doesn't have to write the shipping information herself. But it barely saves time as she has to upload every post twice now, once on her website and once on Instagram. She does all of this just to try to avoid the hassle of entering shipping information. And it's not just Hannah who struggles with this. There are 12.5 million small businesses who sell primarily or only through their Instagram account. The average small business has about 5,000 followers, and they sell around 15 products a week and take 2 hours to package and print out shipping labels. These are 2 hours that young entrepreneurs could be using to grow their business. In comes ThriftShip. We are a website that connects with these small businesses and gives them a personalized link to send to customers for shipping. It keeps track of all the shipping information for them. And now all Hannah has to do is hit print. The process is simple. When Hannah sells an item, she sends her customer, who in this case is Layla, her personalized link. Layla then clicks on the link, enters her name, address, and what item she bought. And then all this is organized onto Hannah's ThriftShip account. So when all Hannah has to do is enter her product's weight. And at the end of the week, she can purchase and print all of her shipping labels out and place them on her packages hassle-free. My 4 main competitors don't offer the same benefits as ThriftShip. Shopify, Instagram, and PirateShip all require websites, which these Instagram accounts don't have. And Comments Sold offers more features than what they need, and therefore is out of their willingness to pay range. We are planning to partner with USPS to get discounted shipping rates. USPS offers several pathways to partner with them, and the 2 routes that are the most viable for my company is either a reselling agreement that generates income based on the volume of clients I bring to them, or a licensing agreement where I'm able to place a margin on top of each shipping label. Based on either of these options, I believe I would be able to generate a revenue of 5 to 10 cents per package. This may seem like a small margin, but when considering that our client base ships out an average of 15 products a week, we're looking at $39 a year minimum from each merchant in a 12.5 million person customer base. This makes our revenue potential just with USPS to be $487 million a year. But realistically, we would also have other revenue streams, such as a monthly subscription fee. Our model allows us to match our competitors' cheap shipping prices and provide an experience tailored specifically for small businesses on social media, all while generating revenue and margin. So far, the amount of women that have brought up their qualms with having to manually insert their customers' addresses line by line has been astounding. And since relaunching my landing page on Friday, I have sent out 30 invitations to beta test my software and have 8 pre-signups already. We plan to kick off our business by focusing on women who are using Instagram to sell thrifted clothing. We are planning to grow using targeted ads on Instagram and through word of mouth. In the Instagram thrift store community, recommendations from others are highly valued, and it is extremely common to get messages from new accounts for advice on where to thrift, how to price, and you've guessed it, where to buy their shipping labels. In my 3 years of selling, all the tools I have adopted come from word of mouth, so I understand the importance of new customers having an excellent experience with my website. In summary, we are trying to empower sellers by giving them back precious time that was previously taken up by making shipping labels. The $5,000 will be used to build an MVP prototype. It won't be perfect by any means, but it will allow us to get out there and gauge interest in our solution and see the initial reaction that our company has on our customers. Thank you, and I'm ready for questions.
Excellent. Okay. First up for questions on this round is Lee. Lee, do you have any questions?
I do. Valeria, could you explain real quick your 1 and 3 year revenue model?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
1 and 3 year revenue model?
A 1 to 3 year revenue model. So
Yes.
we're planning on starting with the beta testers right now. We have 8 signed up currently, and that was just over the weekend that I sent out those invitations. And we are starting by focusing on Instagram thrifting accounts, which is approximately 5 to 10% of my market. And so for the next year, we're planning on focusing just on them. And then year 2, we are expanding to resellers, which is people who sell or resell products like Supreme products, shoes and whatnot, and then expanding from there to focus on small businesses, for example, who sell homemade jewelry and whatnot. So we're just planning to scale up gradually to include more and more of our market.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up we have Tom. Tom, any questions?
Valeria, what would be the barriers to entry for someone else doing what you're doing?
Yes, so it's a very niche market, and so you have to have a personal understanding of what these sellers go through and experience, which I feel like other individuals don't have. As I've been in the business for 3 years, and I have intimate relationships with plenty of other accounts who sell thrifted clothing just like I do, and I'm in numerous support group chats, and so I've heard and interviewed and just experienced all of the problems they have, which gives me a deeper level of understanding that I don't think any of my competitors would have.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, April. April, any questions?
Super fun business idea. Slide 11, just so you know, you're 487 million. Add an M for million, otherwise it looks like $487.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yep, for sure. I don't know. I have a lot of ideas, but that's not what this is for. I guess the only thing that I would ask you is, how do you expect to reach 12.5 million merchants? And that's assuming the entire market. So this is almost like a TAM, a total addressable market slide. You're not going to get them all, but how do you reach that many? You can't do all of those word of mouth. You can't engage with each one of them in DM.
So that's where the targeted ads on Instagram come in. So starting, because we're going to kind of conquer them section by section. So starting with like trying to reach all the thrifting accounts, those would be through word of mouth since I have the personal relationships. And then through that, we can start customizing targeted ads that would gain the women that I don't have access to. And from there, I would continue interviewing at that point people who are in other types of businesses on Instagram and starting to collect data and create targeted ads all through Instagram to reach them.
Super clever idea, super simple, definitely need. Your magic is going to actually be in your customer acquisition, how you get them to use your product. So that's pretty cool. Good work.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and last but not least, Tara, any questions?
Yeah, I echo her sentiments. I do want to ask a bit why you chose USPS over, say, a different carrier like FedEx. Could we start there?
There is no specific reason as to that. I'm definitely open to looking into my other competitors and their pricing, but as of right now, I've been contacting and talking with USPS representatives and looking into the partnership options they have, since that is what many of my competitors utilize, since USPS offers cheap shipping rates. They offer commercial pricing if you partner with them, which is what I think a big buying point would be for my customers, is that the shipping prices would be commercial pricing rather than regular pricing. But I definitely am not against looking into UPS and FedEx and seeing how the pricing compares and the partnership offers compare. It's just what I'm starting with.
Okay. And then related to your market share of thrifters, which is 5 to 10% of the market, and then you anticipate to go to resellers in year 2, and then from there, what is your rationale for scaling your particular market share at that pace? Meaning you're only focused on thrifters for the first year, then resellers your second year, so on and so forth. What's your rationale for scaling that way?
Is that, well, at least for thrifters, since I know the market, who's to say that it would take an entire year to reach like a nice percentage of them? It's just my rationale for that is it's easier to focus on one big group at a time, because there are entire overarching communities, and these, if you focus on resellers, this reseller knows this reseller, and when a new one signs up, it's very common to get advice messages from a new account saying, oh, I love your account. I want to be just like you. How do you get your shipping? Like, how do you do it? And that's an easy way to continue the word of mouth process, even when I don't have direct access to it myself.
Okay, great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and that is the 5 minutes for Georgia. So next up we have LSU. LSU, you can start sharing your slides.
Right.
As a reminder to everyone on the call, at the end of the LSU pitch, we are going to have some words of wisdom from some prior participants, so stick around on the call for that. And then at the end of those well wishes, we'll have about, it looks like about until 1:15 to come back on for our afternoon session.
All right, can you see the slides?
We can see your slides, and so as soon as we get our thumbs up from our judges, we will start your pitch.
Perfect.
I believe we got a thumbs up from Tara. Is that correct, or did I?
You're fine. You can go ahead. I can multitask.
Okay. Excellent. We'll give you another 30 seconds. No rush here.
Okay, thank you.
The thumbs up goes a lot quicker than I thought. Okay, LSU, take it away.
All right, thank you. Hi, I'm Stephanie Hoskins. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Devil. So the problem that we're addressing is it's very difficult to negotiate outstanding invoices and bad debt accounts. The main reason for this, there's a lack of transparency and no trust on either side. So for example, I have a friend who owed a university $9,000. Their third-party debt collector called her and offered to settle for $3,000. Of course, she was like, yes, absolutely. I want to settle this today. Put that in writing and you've got a deal. Well, the debt collector wouldn't put it in writing because once they put that in writing, that now becomes the new debt, whether you pay it or not. And they didn't trust her to actually have the money to pay. And so because of this sort of standoff ensued and no deal was reached. So the problems with the current methods are they're very time consuming to try to negotiate one-on-one every individual bad debt account. They're expensive, very notoriously aggressive. It's difficult to scale. Small businesses are sort of cut out of the current solutions, and it increases your operational risk. The current market size is 30 million Americans have at least one bad debt account, and they pay over $1 billion a year to settlement agencies. For businesses and organizations, 93% of all businesses have a bad debt account annually. And they pay $12 billion in fees to third-party collectors. And that market is only, that $12 billion is only the ones who actually send their bad debt to third-party collections. So the impact of COVID right now is accelerating this bad debt crisis. Just last month, 6 million households missed their rent or mortgage payment. Utility companies are seeing a huge increase. Obviously, property managers are too. Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. And so our solution is a tool, it's a software, the cloud-based software as a service tool that efficiently negotiates and settles these overdue accounts. And we do that by simplifying, improving, and automating the process. Our competitive advantages, so right now there are there are 9,300 debt collectors, but there are also a few kind of high-tech solutions. They are currently kind of end-to-end, full-scale, difficult to implement. With our solution, because we're not a debt collector, we get to use online payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, Stripe, Plaid. Debt collectors can't use those because of regulation. We're also very easy to implement. You can sign up for Devil and be inviting your customers to settle their overdue invoices within 10 minutes. We charge less money, we're much more customer friendly, and we're very focused on the negotiation process of the bad debt collections. So once an invoice is overdue, But before you send it through your traditional collections, that's where you would use Dettle. And you can scale it up or down. So even if you have one bad debt account, you can use Dettle. We charge a 10% transaction fee on all settled debt. Our future revenue streams include subscriptions, a la carte features. We're working with people for licensing and partnerships. The team is myself. I am currently a PhD student at LSU in financial economics. And my co-founder is my husband, Houston Hoskins. He went to Ole Miss. But I have over 10 years experience in corporate finance and strategy. I have worked in healthcare finance mostly. So I've seen this problem over and over and over as our patients begged us to try to negotiate their overdue medical debt. For our current traction, we currently are active at 5 different pilot sites. We've got 1,600 real people with bad debt invited to settle these debts and negotiate them on our platform. By the end of the year, our goal is to have $1 million of bad debt sent through Dettle's software, inviting 3,000 to 5,000 people to settle this debt. That's changing the lives of thousands of people who are now empowered to essentially purchase their own bad debt. And the ask that I have today for all the people in this virtual room would be any introductions to potential pilot sites. We're currently expanding our pilot site program, or if you have any introductions for investors or VCs, we're raising a pre-seed round. And you can email me, Stephanie@Dettle.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions now.
Excellent, thank you. Tara, we are going to start with you. Any questions?
Sure. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for that. Very interesting concept. Okay, so I want to make sure I understand cloud-based software that I, as a business, subscribe to and then send out to one of my vendors who hasn't paid me. And then how does the negotiation happen? Is it all algorithm based, or are there service providers internally within your organization that do the negotiation? I'm not clear.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So yeah, as a business, you would sign up, create a Dettle account, and then you'd be able to invite your customers to negotiate and settle their outstanding invoices. Currently, for our pilot program, the negotiations are it's you making an offer through the platform, them counter offering or accepting or declining. We are working on automating all of these features too, so that businesses can set kind of auto levels. One of our pilot sites, they really want to set an auto accept level so that once negotiations hit that level, it just automatically accepts it for them, auto generates the settlement agreement letter. The way that it works, when you make an offer or a counter as a consumer, the money is taken out of your account and it's not dispersed to who you owe money to until they have sent you a settlement agreement letter, which we're also automating. And then you accept that, like, yep, that's my name, that's how much I owe, that's what we agreed to. As soon as you accept that agreement, the money gets dispersed to the organization. So as the business, when you see these negotiations come through on your dashboard, you know the money is there. As soon as you hit accept, you've got it. You're not chasing it down any further.
So as the business, I'm reliant on the customer putting in their banking information to actually settle the debt.
We use Plaid, which is an overlay they work with Stripe mostly. And so 1 in 4 online consumers have used Plaid before. It enables you to not have to input your bank account information at all anywhere. What you do is, you might have seen it before, you select your bank and then you log in with your bank login information, and it connects directly all like on the back end. So you're never entering account information.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, next up we have April. April, any questions?
Yeah, Stephanie, why can you use Stripe and they can't? Just real quick.
Yeah, so we are not a debt collector. We are a software that people are like, so as long as the business is the one reaching out to their customer, then it's not considered a third-party debt collector.
Got it. Does total recoveries go up or go down? Total dollar amount recoveries? Because it's easier to settle now. Are you going up or are you going down?
your recovery, the amount you get should increase while your costs decrease, optimizing your margins. And this is because when you send things to a debt collector, what I found with my research and customer interviews, a lot of people that have a bad debt didn't even get the bill. So they have no idea that they had this bad debt and they're more than happy to pay. So this kind of enables you to cherry pick who will pay easily and quickly, and then send your hard to collect accounts if you're going to pay a third party collector.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Next up, we have Tom. Any questions?
So are you capturing that data on that recovery rate? Because that to me feels like the most important single thing. And then the second question is just a quick, again, what are the barriers to entry for competitors?
Yeah, so we are working, so in our pilot program right now, we don't have enough yet to really gather all that data for analytics, but we absolutely want to build out some predictive analytics for guidance for the people that are collecting their overdue invoices. It's kind of like a propensity to pay score. And then the barriers to entry to this. So we're very niche. We're on that one segment of the collections process for now. And I think that mostly my expertise and experience in this and the relationships that we're building, we're also first to market, which gives us a little bit of an edge. So as we gain ground, we're sort of building our moat through multiple channels to create barriers to entry.
Thank you.
Okay. Unfortunately, Lee, we are out of time for any additional questions. You can complain to the other pitch host judge to get the first question next time. So with that, very well done to all 7 of my teams in the room right now. As a reminder, all 7 of these teams are going to come back into this room this afternoon. All of my judges are going to go into the other pitch room. Before we do that though, we have a short message from a prior participant in the SEC pitch competition that we're going to share with all of you right now.
And I'm Brandon Johns. I'm the COO and also a co-founder of BuzzBaster. Calvin Waddy is a CEO. He was actually not able to make it, but he was also another co-founder.
Yeah. So the 3 of us are co-founders. Brandon and I are the ones that actually pitched last year at the SEC pitch competition. Calvin wasn't eligible because he had graduated a little bit too early. But Brandon and I were both students, and I graduated in August of last year. And Brandon is actually still in school and graduating this December. And what your degree is in management, right? Yeah, his degree's in management, mine's in marketing, and Calvin's is in business administration. So that's a little bit about us. We're from Mississippi State University. And basically just an overview on what BuzzBaster is. If any of you are unfamiliar, it is an CRM-like software platform for e-commerce merchants that automates influencer marketing. So brand ambassador programs, affiliate programs, all that type of like word of mouth marketing. Basically, we plug into Shopify, and we're a Shopify app. And so any e-commerce merchant that uses Shopify to run their store can add our app and use it to automate everything about their influencer marketing program. So onboarding ambassadors, creating their referral codes, tracking the sales that they bring in, that whole thing. So that's what we pitched last year. And actually when we pitched last year, we were just a private app. We already had revenue, but we weren't being publicly sold on any app store or anything like that. And since we pitched last year, we actually launched on the Shopify App Store in January. And so that has been really exciting for us. A little bit about our founder story, which we talked about in our pitch, is that we actually started out with our own Shopify stores and we're running them. And that's how we found the problem that influencer marketing and ambassadors are extremely hard to manage. And so that's what gave us the idea for BuzzBaster. And so it's kind of a cool full circle moment that we started out with our own Shopify stores, and now we're a Shopify app that's helping other Shopify stores. So that's one really exciting development that's happened since the SEC pitch competition. Since the SEC, we've onboarded over 1,000 Shopify merchants onto our app. Our revenue has grown a lot. And it's definitely been hard with COVID. I know you guys can tell we have a virtual background. We're working from home virtually in Starkville, Mississippi. And so that's where Mississippi State University is. And that's where we're at right now. We've actually raised another round of funding, and everything's just going really well. And actually this week we're pitching at Venture Atlanta, which is the Southeast's largest technology and startup conference. And we were the first Mississippi company to ever be selected for that opportunity. So we have a lot of exciting things going for us, and it's all going really well. And we really feel like the SEC pitch competition really propped us up and put us in a great position to have the success that we've seen so far, especially when we're implementing the feedback that the judges gave us. We made some really great connections with the judges, and they gave us a lot of feedback from all the different pitches that we did, and we maintained our connections with them and really worked on the things that they told us, and that's helped us a lot. So that's one of my biggest tips for you guys. Is I'm not sure how the formatting is going to be set up this year, but we pitched to multiple different groups of judges, including the semifinals rounds and the finals round. So if it's the same thing this year, I really hope that you guys take their feedback to heart and really take notes and implement those things when you're done. Another one of my tips is go in humble and open-minded and with no expectations. That's what we did. I mean, Brandon can attest to that. We literally, the whole drive up to Auburn, which is where the competition was last year, we were like, our stomach were in knots. We were so nervous. We were just like, we don't know how this is going to go. It was our first real big pitch for Buzzbassador because we had just kind of gotten started earlier that year. And so we'd never really pitched it on a stage like that before. And we were super nervous. And then we heard all the other companies' pitches and they were really good. And we were like, okay, we're not going to get anything. Like, this is going to be fun. We're going to learn, but we're not going to win anything. And then we ended up winning literally every award. We won the elevator pitch, we won the semifinals, and then we won the finals. And so we were just shocked, and it kind of gave us this on top of the world feeling and this confidence that we didn't necessarily have before in our pitching skills and also just our business overall. And so if you go in with no expectations and just let yourself be blown away by how great the experience is, it's just going to make it even better for everyone. And I'll let Brandon, talk a little bit more about the business and his experience last year, and then also some of his tips for you guys this year.
Yeah, so Shelby hit it right on the head. Like, the SEC competition, it was seriously an amazing experience. And one thing I wanted to add to that, besides just going in there and just, being humble and just not having expectations because anything can happen, because we thought we were taking the L from the start. We were reading all the company descriptions, we watched some of the pitches, and we're like, man, this is crazy. The competition is unreal. So we're like, let's just make the most out of this experience. And then we ended up winning it, which was crazy. But another thing that I want to say is, if it's anything like last year, which I know it's probably virtual, and so it might be a little bit different, but if you mess up on a pitch, you probably have multiple pitches, don't sweat it. A lot comes down to the question and answer. That section is a little bit more important. That's when the judges can get a little better feel for you, and you'll be able to really be genuine about your business at that point. So that, don't sweat it in the pitch, just keep going. Another thing is, make the most out of the actual connections with the competitors. That was one thing that we were blessed to be able to do, is be able to just connect with all these great minds from different universities across the SEC. And we are still talking to those people that we met. So it's great networking. So definitely make the most of that. Meet as many people as you possibly can. Besides just the judges, those are great connects, but the competitors that you're competing alongside with, we're still talking to them today. So other than that, it's a great experience. Just make the most out of it. And good luck to everybody in 2020 for this pitch competition. It's going to be awesome. Good luck to you guys, and Hail State.
Hail State. Thanks, guys. Have a great experience.
Okay, so those are some well wishes from Buzzbassador. Here's what's going to happen now. Our judges are going to go into a preliminary deliberation room. And so judges, you should all receive a link that says Judge Deliberation Room. Judges are going to move over there. All of our participants are free to go grab food, refine your pitch, practice your pitch some more. The live stream for this room will reopen at 1 p.m. and pitches will begin again by 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. And so the latest that anybody can be back in their room is 1:14 p.m. Eastern time, but the stream will start again at 1 p.m. So teams go away, refine. Judges, I want all of you to leave this Zoom call and join the deliberation link, and you'll receive more instructions in there. Does anybody have any questions before we go?
Yes. So is the live streaming, when does it end in this room? And is it possible to like talk to one another? I just wanted to touch base with the Acumen team real quick. I think I have an investor I'd like to intro you guys to, if that's possible.
So why don't you give me the lunch period to figure out how to make that connection, and then we'll get back to you offline. Okay.